Landing helicopters in a flight sim is not easy. We can't see what we're doing. We overcorrect and we swing around into places we should not be. And that's because we don't get this view. It's really hard to see down in the sim. So I want to show you a trick to keep you right on target. Let's fly. Stunning Saba. We're in the Caribbean, heading for Juancho y Irausquin Airport with its famously short runway. Weather conditions, a light breeze from the northwest, just 3 knots, and 24 degrees Celsius with some tropical Caribbean humidity. Nothing to challenge the performance of this excellent Cabri G2. Okay, and we've got a nice, stable, steady approach, only about 20 knots. We're in effective translational lift because we're going forwards. I will need to raise the collective as we continue to lose speed, because when we come out of effective translational lift, we lose the free energy benefit we get from that physical process. So MLI, you'll see, is coming up now as I add more collective. Right, now, what are we going to do to get right on the center of that landing pad? I'm going to hit pause, and I will rescue that descent first. I don't have enough hands for this. Alright, that's a bit better. So I'll hit pause here. Alright. Notice that the helipad, if I look further away from that, there's a checkerboard shed in the distance. And so if I draw an imaginary line between the H of the helipad and that checkerboard shed and try and commit that to my memory, we end up with a line that sort of runs alongside that yellow taxi line and gives me a sense of how I need to treat this approach and whether I'm on the left or right side of that imaginary line. Okay, so let's just bear all that in mind and see how we go with this thing. So I'm going to unpause now. Try and get control again. Good. Okay. So at the moment, I'm to the left of that imaginary line. So I need to come over to the right. That's a bit better. A little bit more. Good. And the hardest part's when we start to lose the helipad as it goes underneath us, because we can't really see down in the simulator. It's very hard. So I'm right on that imaginary line now. That's good. I'm going to keep on walking forwards, inching forwards really, very slowly. I'm right on the line. I'm lowering the collective. Well, I've lowered the collective. I'm allowing it to sink naturally. Hover. And the last couple of feet onto the right-hand skid. And all the way down on the collective. Let's see how that looked. Oh, not too bad. Would have been nice if I got right on the middle of that H, but no, that is pretty good. And there's that imaginary line that ran all the way through there to that checkerboard shed. Very convenient object that is. And I just nudged my way left and right and used my peripheral vision to get a sense of where we were on the pad. Okay, let's just give it another go. This time we'll go a bit higher this time, so let's get our right pedal ready for the movement that we expect here, and a bit of right cyclic as well for what I anticipate will be some translational tendency. Okay, we're pitching back, so I'll fix that by cyclic forward, and we're in a almost in a stable hover over the H again. Good. Okay. Now, I'm not going to follow real-world procedures here. I'm just going to come forward here. Once I get enough speed, we get that effective translational lift again, and up we go, nice and easy. 79% on the MLI, so no difficulties there. What a glorious place to practice your helicopter skills. Okay, there's our pad. Don't need to get too high here. I'm not going to make a full 500-foot right-hand circuit here. I'll just abbreviate it. Good. Just keep it in mind where it is, what your progress is like. I'm only doing about 30 knots indicated. That's fine. 56% on the MLI. let's start to get our turn in. Using the yaw string there to try and keep it coordinated at this low speed. I don't think it's too much of a concern. I'm almost just doing an air taxi rather than a proper approach. Okay, so same approach again, but this time I'm going to come in a bit higher to imagine as if this were something more like an elevated platform, maybe on an oil platform, or an oil rig that is. And we'll see if the same principle works. Already I can see that imaginary line coming through that checkerboard shed, down to the H. Still very high. Lowering the collective. Keeping on the line. This one will be a bit more challenging because I will have even less visibility on the helipad. I'm to the left of the imaginary line now. Bit of right cyclic to encourage the machine over to that side. We're pretty much on the line now. Tiny gust of wind there. Okay. Now, I almost cannot see the helipad anymore, but I can see the imaginary line. So, let me get back on the line. Millimetre down the collective, millimetre up the collective, stay on the line, we're a little bit far forward, that's better. Lower the collective. How do we do? It's about within a foot of where I got it the first time. Not too bad. Okay, let's try one from a different angle. Right power pedal in, a little bit of right on the cyclic. Anticipating translational tendency, lifting the collective. What will the machine do? It wants to go right, it wants to go back. I counteract those forces. And we are off the pad and looking good. Look at that grooved concrete. The improved definition on the ground detail is so helpful in MSFS 2024 for you to be practicing this kind of work. They've done a terrific job. It makes this kind of practice so much easier because you get a sense of your progress along the ground. It's always difficult in simulation, but it's just getting better and better all the time. Alright, so what shall we do here? Now I've got the wind coming from my right. I'll do a kind of a 3/4 attempt this time, so diagonal across the pad. And I'll use that light pylon as my imaginary line. So the shadow's a bit of a distraction there, don't worry about that. I'm going to get on the line that runs between the base of the pylon and the middle of the H. I'm to the left of that line at the moment, and now I'm pretty much on the line. Follow the line in, get back on it. Breathe, don't hold the stick too tight, no death grip please. Relax, breathe, get back on the line. Inch it in, that's good. Lowering the collective. Bit of bleed through in the graphics there. Make contact with the right skid first. And lower the collective. A little bit unstable on the yaw axis there with the pedals, but how do we go? Look, I'll take that. I'll take that. I think that's pretty good. Now, I get a lot of joy out of helping you be the best that you can be in our wonderful shared hobby of flight simulation. That's why I make these tips, tricks, tutorials, reviews. I really hope that you're getting good value out of them. And if you are, let me know. Comment. Also, of course, like, subscribe. That'll encourage me to do more of these for you. And until then, fly safe, take care.